this whole conversation rather, is about Billboard and the way that Billboard has changed their new ranking system and how it affects artists, big and small, independent and attached to labels, and exactly kind of how this is going to change music going forward. So I guess my first question would be, how much and how often do artists strategize their album releases or launch campaigns to get that coveted spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart?
Well, now everything's going to have to be re-strategized and you know, everybody's going to have to do remarketing on the whole situation, because by them eliminating the bundles with the tickets and the merch, that's already going to be a big impact for big and independent artists. You know what I mean? So I feel that going back to your question, I feel that the way that's going to be handled from now on, it's either they're going to have to come up with a great you know, strategy plan behind them, like and then really have a publicity team. And this is not to get off the subject, but this is why it's so important for artists to have publicity and management on the side. You want to elaborate, Patty?
Yes, I feel like it's just gonna make it a little harder. That's why a lot of people are just like buying ads or just using YouTube as a platform to promote, because they don't believe in the system anymore. It's corrupted, right, because the numbers are not adding up. And some upcoming artists or big artists, I mean, the big artists, obviously they do have the budget, but like people like don't even care. They're tired of the same artist being number one too. Yes. So you know, going to your question is, how is an artist going to prepare, or how does an artist prepare to, you know, to launch a release of a song or a party? They have to, like Barbara said, have a PR team and management, because you got to come with everything together, which is like the image, you know, the logo, everything. Where are you going to release it? And World Hip Hop, where are you going to release this? Or just on Spotify, on your YouTube, on your platform? So you got to be very smart where you're doing this. Are you paying an ad? Because, you know, a lot of people don't have the budget, you know.
Exactly. They don't have the budget to be doing that. So they got to be super strategic with it. And I wanted to say something, and I just slipped my mind. Sorry, I'm like in 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no worries.
I've been on the phone since yesterday. I was telling Patty, I'm like, man, we've been closing deals and doing all kinds of stuff for all the clients. But yeah, that's basically to summarize that question, is like they need to be prepared. They need to have a team behind them. So crucial that, you know, they do run, they know exactly, and that's it came to my mind, sorry, that they have a catalog too, not a catalog, I'm sorry, a calendar where they know where, you know, so that way they're not competing with big artists. So they're not competing with the big artists. So that's why we know we have a catalog and we have a calendar where we're not competing with Ariana or Justin or whoever it is. We know exactly when they release songs, and we know exactly when we need to release the songs for the artist. So we're not competing. So let's say Ariana comes something on, you know, on Friday, right? Then we're like, well, of course we're not going to release the song because this is Ariana's day. So obviously that doesn't make sense. But see, independent artists will not know that on their own unless they have a team behind them. So.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, one of the interesting things, and one of the things I still wonder right now in terms of like having like the really big artists, like the Eminems, the Dr. Dre's, the Snoop Dogg's, and then having the smaller artists like, or I guess I would say independent artists like 6ix9ine, or any other kind of artist that's trying to do it on their own. It's one of the things that I love is that type of agile, can-do attitude that a lot of independent teams have. And it kind of brings the question to mind, like in terms of the importance of Billboard. Like, for example, with so many novel ways for artists to directly communicate with their audience and consumers through Reddit, DMs, phone calls, what does a vehicle like Billboard bring to an artist in terms of shedding light on consumer intent? Like, couldn't the same data be gleaned from Instagram engagement for a certain song or a new feature?
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last question. I'm sorry, Jason.
I was saying,
my volume is kind of low on this one. Let me see. Okay, so say that again. I'm so sorry.
I was saying, wouldn't the same thing that Billboard provides, which is essentially analytics numbers, obviously it has the coveted spot of being like, I was on the Billboard Top 100 chart for this many weeks. But outside of that, in terms of from an analytical perspective, and seeing exactly who your fans are, what your demographic is, et cetera, couldn't the same thing be gleaned from a small independent team and Instagram likes and Instagram engagement?
Correct. Correct. Yes, it could be. Yes, it could be duplicated, and this is why we're going back to having a team behind you, because then we can easily pull those analytics from the artist. The artist doesn't even know sometimes where to pull them from. They have no idea. Me and Patty are always telling them, like, make sure that you're active on social media, that you're active on your Spotify, YouTube channels, whatever it is. But yes, absolutely, we can duplicate that with Billboard. And of course, if they don't have a relationship with Billboard, this is where we come in to make that happen.
Right.
How does that relationship start with Billboard from the perspective of like an artist? And my main thing is I want to create music. I want to make a new song, whatever. And let's say it is getting traction on YouTube, on Instagram, on other social media vehicles. How does that relationship with Billboard start? Does it start with an email from maybe you, Barbara, with somebody that you know, or is it something that Billboard just recognizes and goes, okay, you're making a big splash, we want to talk to you?
Well, you want to answer that, Patty, or you already go?
Yeah, I mean, it starts by sending an email, but for example, with Snoop, if you're a big artist, they contact you because they already want like to get an exclusive, or they want to do a write-up on it. But as long as you're an artist that's releasing new music, you want to send a Billboard an interest, so they can check you out for a write-up because you're releasing new music.
Got it.
Yeah, unless you're pulling like, a billion streams, you know what I mean? Like as an independent artist, like let's say like 6ix9ine, you know what I mean? Then yeah, of course, Billboard automatically will reach out to you and be like, okay, you know what? This artist is popping this month. We need to get him on the charts. We need to do something with him, because at the end of the day, that translates to money to them as well. So then it makes sense for the artist. It makes sense for Billboard. It makes sense for everybody. But when the artist is independent and then the artist is barely pulling like 50,000 views on their YouTube or 100,000 views or whatever it is, that's still not enough for Billboard to recognize that. So that's where we come in and we reach out to Billboard, because even if they have a certain amount of views on their platforms, we know how to combine them all and make it presentable for Billboard to even consider them for a placement or a write-up or a chart position, whatever it is, whatever the case is. But that's why it's so important and so crucial that the artist knows where to pull that information from. But if they don't know, then that's where we come in.
That's amazing. One of the things that I really like that you said, and how you and Patty both work with the artists to, I guess, essentially show the full range of their influence, right, and what they're doing. It's not necessarily just a poppin' song, but it's how many views you have. What is your audience base like? All of these things that a lot of artists themselves don't necessarily know how to curate. How do you all go about in terms of like curating this for the artists? Like I guess my question would be in terms of from just a marketing the artist perspective. Does the image start with you, Patty, and with you, Barbara, or does the image start with the artist? Does the artist have a clear-cut goal, or do you see their music and you're like, this is where your lane is, this is where you need to be at, this is how you get the most traction with like a Billboard?
I feel like it starts with the whole image of the artist, and the image of the artist, and then it translates to the genre of music. And then once we have, actually, no, let me take that back. The first thing that me and Patty do when we are about to take on a client is we look at their genre, obviously.
Okay.
If it's, whether it's rap, whether it's country, whether it's, hip hop, whatever it is, that's the first thing we analyze, because that way it lets us know what Billboard needs to know in order to pick it up. So that's so important to look at the genre, and then we go ahead and look at the image of the artist, obviously, because we know what they like visually. In their visuals as well, on their music videos, we need to know what they're working with. So that all translates into like, okay, so now we got a package, but if the package is not good enough, then we tweak it out. Then we make adjustments to it. So that's kind of how it starts a little bit.
Yeah, and also we kind of work more on the image, because some artists are very unique, and sometimes they don't want to change their image, and we want them to be themselves, but also, there's a limit in regards how people, how you want to present it to the world. But that's why management is so important. We are completely separate from management. We're not in charge of, you know, of course we listen to your music and things like that, but the manager is really the one that has to take it to another level for the artist. Artists get confused, you know, about PR and management, because we're not your manager, we're your publicist. And, you know, with that being said, if, you know, if you're bringing an artist to the table that's already established, already has a song, the beats, everything, that's completely different, because we're not doing that for the artist. That's the manager. You know, we're just doing like what you said, the marketing area, the image.
Right. And then just to go back to elaborate on the image stuff, on the image control, sometimes the artists, even though they are and they feel comfortable with who they are, we do have to step in and make changes to that image, because that's not what sells. And you got to think commercial when it comes to these things. We got to think PR work, not likable work, right? Not like what I mean. Obviously, you're when it comes to Billboard, just speaking on that area. When it comes to your fans, that's going to be a whole different ballgame. But when it comes to Billboard, you need to have a certain something for them to be for them to be like, okay, well, this is what we want, this is what we like out of the artist. But sometimes they do resist that, and then that's what we have a little bit of a conflict sometimes with the artists, understanding how they need to be more commercial, more more mainstream, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's one thing for an artist to be like a Lady Gaga, but then it's a separate thing where you have to explain, like, okay, it's great that you are in your own lane and you know you're unique, but we still need to make it palatable for a general audience.
Exactly.
I completely understand. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what it comes down to.
That is super interesting. One of the things I really like is that artists have for years, you know, done different things to boost album sales and the perception of higher album sales from as far back as like the 50s, from payola to targeted guest features to, in certain cases, literally paying people to buy their albums. We know that artists can be inventive when it comes to album rankings and sales. What types of strategies will artists use now to boost sales or their perceptions of sales?
Well, that all depends on the artist, if they're independent or they're signed to a label to begin with, because we all know labels control everything, and you know, once you're signed to a label, then that's a done deal for you as an artist, of the creative control that goes out the window. But if you're an independent artist, then there's different avenues that you can do to increase your revenue and your numbers. So that's why you hire marketing people to boost your your views, whether it is, or they got to be organic. There's a lot of fake companies out there that be offering fake numbers, and Spotify, on YouTube and all these things. But that's why the artist needs to do their due diligence and be like, okay, so what works for me? What's a good company? Because you are gonna need that. You cannot pull those numbers on your own. But
yeah, you have to invest the money. You gotta put money into ads, into everything, into your social media, into Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everything. Even Spotify, a lot of artists don't know how to buy ads on Spotify.
right.
And it's so important, because it's not the same as buying an ad on YouTube or buying an ad on Instagram. It's completely different.
Right, and a lot of artists don't even know this, and this is something that that I would like to share a little bit. Facebook is a great avenue for artists to sell their music. A lot of artists don't know that, and it's incredible how they don't know that. But Facebook is amazing for that, and they're like, "Well, Facebook, how?" Right? They're like looking at it like, "What?" So Facebook looks at everybody looks at Facebook like if it's an app for old people.
Yes.
Like, wait, what? But there's a lot of things that if when you guys show this interview, if they wanna reach out to me and Patty, or any independent artists are interested on getting publicity, then me and Patty can elaborate on those. Patty's really good at that. Patty's amazing at getting all the Facebook traction when it comes to the the artists and the streaming in there.
Yeah. Speaking of that, actually, this kind of leading me into my last question, which is, as usual, do you have any upcoming artists or personal projects you would like to promote? And please feel free to, let people know how they can reach out to you, both Patty and you as well, Barbara, in terms of like independent artists that are trying to get on, that are trying to understand maybe more how they can become somebody who is on Billboard's Top 100, right?
Right.
How does that work? How can they reach out to you to make that dream potentially a reality? And what you guys would be looking for these independent artists?
Okay, so yeah, so the way you can get a hold of me and Patty is through Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram is like our business card nowadays.
That's your business card. I love it.
You know what I mean? So it's like now when we go, whoa, when we used to go to events, not right now, but even right now when we meet with people and stuff, they're like, oh, you have a business card? And I'm like, no, that's, let me give you my Instagram.
go to
So that's the new business card. But yeah, they can reach me. They can reach me at Barbara Sanchez PR.
Okay.
And then Patty will provide hers right now. And then, just send a DM, brief. Emails work best sometimes, but then I'm constantly on Instagram. I'm very social media active, so then that works better for me.
Okay.
And then they can just say, hey, I need publicity, I need your services, and then the process, how it works is we just send it over to our executive assistant, and then he sets up everything, the phone conference and whatnot.
Okay.
Yes, my IG is Patty Torres PR, and right now Barbara and we're working on a lot of clients and influencers. So as we are building, we're also building our website soon. But whenever artists want to know or they have any questions, they can go ahead and contact us on Instagram, and then someone will call them and we'll set up a meeting for them and see if they're a great candidate, because sometimes we come across artists that they're confused. They already have a PR or they're just looking for management. So we could just go ahead and guide them, because we always want to do the screening of what you're looking for. Maybe even maybe we're not even the right fit, or maybe you are. We always want to make sure you're the right fit so we can take care of you, because taking care of somebody, it's a lot of work. It's like you build a whole relationship. You have a relationship with this person.
Right, and it's so important for the artist to also be prepared. Whether they have the experience or not, it's so important for the artist to not be throwing links or on our DMs from their music. I absolutely dislike that very much. I understand the artists sometimes don't know how to go about things, but it is overwhelming for us as publicists to get all these DMs with music links. Because do you think realistically, someone like me and Patty, and not to say anything, not to say that we're super oh my God, you cannot talk to us type of thing. But we get so many emails on the daily that you think we're really realistically going to go and say, oh, look, there's a link to this music thing. Let me go ahead and listen to it. It's not going to happen. So it's best if you want to, email your material, your link to whatever it is that you're promoting, it's best to email it to us. Be professional about it, and then also don't be spamming our comments. Oh, did you check my email? Did you check my DM? I sent you the DM, blah, blah, blah. So, it's just little things that we like to avoid whenever possible.
and I cannot say that enough, and to kind of piggyback off of that, is just like you said, preparation. Just because you guys are doing the publicity doesn't mean that the artists themselves, speaking to you out there, young artists, doesn't mean that you don't have to have your own Instagram following. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you can't have a vision for your music. It doesn't mean you just go to Patty and to Barbara and just say, hey, here's what I have, make a way. It's like, no, you should go to them with a plan in place.
Yeah, also, go ahead, Patty. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just said, yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was going to say, and also, Google is a great tool for things nowadays. Google's amazing, right? So if you don't know, as an artist, if you don't know the difference between publicity and management, there's a big problem.
Yeah.
You should be knowledgeable in this subject already, because a lot of the artists also that get in contact with us, they're super lost on the difference between publicity and management. Yes. And even though they go hand in hand, right? They're super crucial. Both of us, we become a family. Once you hire our services, whether you have a manager or whether we have to provide one for you, it's a family affair immediately because you have to be in constant communication every single day. What's going on with the artists? What are they doing? Are they posting? Are they being active? Are they, what are we dropping? What's the next step? When is he gonna go to the studio? All these things come into play. And so if you're not ready, if you as an artist don't know the difference of what a publicist does and a manager, does, that's gonna be a big problem for you. Because when you hire our services or anyone's services, if you don't know what they're doing, then what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's super crucial. That's just a little tip for artists that
Yes.
look up the meaning and the roles of a publicist and a manager, because there's a lot of confusion and miscommunication when it comes to that.
Barbara, thank you so much. Sincerely, not just shedding light on Billboard, but shedding a lot of light and a lot of insight for a bunch of young artists out there who don't necessarily know where to start, or maybe even where their homework begins. And they now have kind of a, what I'm saying, a better kind of sense of, okay, one thing I need to start with is finding out what my management does as compared to, what my publicist will be doing and different things like that.
Correct. You got to know the difference for sure. That really plays a big factor into your success as an artist.
And Patty, thank you as well.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having.
Yes, thank you for having us. It's an honor to have this interview with you, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have been very kind to us, and we appreciate you guys so much. You guys always support us in any way possible, and so we just got to return the love.
Yes.
Of course.
What we're here for.
Remington Moss will always support good music and will always support, people like yourself, Barbara and Patty, who again are so easy to work with and just always have new music, always have, new influencers and different things like that is looking for a vehicle to be presented to a wider audience. So please, I think I speak for myself and Vanessa by saying, do not be afraid to ever reach out to say like, hey, Jason, we have this new person, or Vanessa, we have this new person, and let's put them, is it possible we can get them in the publication? We'd love to have that happen.
Yeah, we love you guys. We love,
thank you,
Vanessa.
So helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for always being so kind and nice to us. So yes, speaking of, once we get out this interview, we have a couple more people, great artists that we just signed. So, we'll definitely going to be working with each other for a long time.
I love it.
You're stuck with us, Jason.
There's an old saying that I love, which goes something like, you don't have to threaten me with a good time. And that's,
yeah,
that's
there you
right
go.
now.
There you go. Love it.